We're having technical difficulties, so I am live. Okay. So don't worry about it. I'm just gonna change around. There we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the light here is extremely bad. Okay, I don't know what's happening in my but the light is extremely bad. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live streaming of the 10-year anniversary. Um, yeah, it has been a while since I've done live. It's really been a while since I've done live, but remember when you get in, just to always say what's your location. I know it has been a long time, so for the people who have always done live, um, you can basically know the live is always when you come in, you say your name, you say hello, you be kind to people, okay? And all the moderators out there, yeah, it's going to be a Q&A live. So be open to ask questions because it's a Q&A. So it's question and answers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I did it. I did it. As you all know that I'm a Capricorn. I think it's one of the greatest sign that was ever made. I mean, I could not have imagined being born under another sign. You know, I no, I really couldn't imagine being born under another sign. And this is like one of the most wonderful things that is really happening. Is, you know, when people found out who they are, what signs, how it affects them, and then you know how very positive you are as a person. So please let me know in the comments if you're hearing me properly. Basically, if you're hearing me properly, let me know if the sound is good. And so if you can't hear, let me know from now, so you guys know. I want to start out this evening by looking at various things in society that a lot of people are not aware of, that a lot of people are basically not really aware of what's happening. So please let me know when you guys comes on so I can know whether or not basically you're hearing me and I'm hearing you, okay? Because we're trying to, the moderators are trying to fix the sound. So remember when you get on, online, just let me know if you can see or if you're hearing properly. Okay. So let me know when you're online. Uh, okay, if this is your first time, we always basically say our locations. All right, so just let me know in the back whether or not you guys are hearing properly. Okay, because they're trying to we're having technical difficulties. All right, as you come in, ladies and gentlemen, just say your location, where you are, what's your location. Um, and then we can get on. Like, and please just leave a message whether or not you guys can hear or not. Okay. As always, very good. So just leave a message whether or not you're hearing properly or not. So summertime, because I want to say all the people who had won. We have 5 people who had won the mystery of who the music, which music, what year. So I'm just waiting for everyone to come on. Leave your message or a question. Leave the message or a question below, and then I can give you the answers. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this live is for the people who didn't know. I've always done Friday evening lives. I think it's a wonderful way that we can connect with a community. It's a wonderful way how we basically deals with like a lot of stuff that was coming out. If a lot of you have been following me for a very long time, then you'll recognize that we always do live on the Friday evenings, and it's about keeping the awareness together, keeping people together, you know, basically having this connection with another person. Some people can be lonely, some people are alone, but I've been doing this like for many years, the Friday evening live, but I'd stopped for a while because of health reasons. And as I said in the video that I just dropped for the 10th anniversary, that I needed to regain my strength because I was doing so much. So this is always one of those really positive time. I'm trying to check out my camera because something I see I'm the other way around. When I want it to be up, then it comes up. When I want it to be down, then my camera flips to the other side. So that's why I'm basically changing around the camera. So if you are a newcomer and you have never been on one of us lives, the lives is always basically where we all connects together. Basically, we just basically connects together. We talk about things. I pull card. I will answer questions. I always do pull a card. I always do 1 or 2 cards. Sometimes the energy comes out where I have to do more than 1 or 2 cards. Okay. So what's happening this evening is that, you know, I'm really proud to really have this 10-year anniversary because of the work that I do, and it's just free. And I think in life, I basically enjoy doing things that is more mundane to helping people. So I'm gonna be waiting for more people to come in on the live, and the reason why is because I had done asking people questions about certain things. And we have 5 winners. So I want to congratulate all of the winners, because I think that it was just so super nice, because not a lot of people knows a lot about the facts and that sort of a thing. And for the person who win, what was my surname? Congratulations. And I hope you're not a friend or someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows me. But I think that was quite smart, because I think like in a couple of hours or the next day you were. So someone win the question, what was my surname? So someone win that. And you know, it's really quite amazing. How many of my followers that have been following me since the beginning. And I know I've changed up the style of my readings, but as I explained before, I had to change up the style of my readings because um, trying to explain things about angels and ascendance masters and why are we here and that sort of a thing, not a lot of people do understand that. And that's basically what I'm just like recognizing, um that not a lot of people understand that. And the ones that understand it are the dark ones. And there's a lot of people who are awakened and is now recognizing that, there are things beyond our imagination, expectations that a lot of people were not aware of. And basically, this is why I do this channel. And I started as blogging because I love to write. Honestly, I think that's like one of the most peaceful thing you can do is write and read, basically. And I just wanted people to understand, because I recognize like people weren't understanding a whole lot of stuff. And I just think that we are so programmed on this planet. It's like humanity is programmed. And the reason why, not a lot of people are aware of certain facts, it's because, yeah, people do not open their awareness, or sometimes people just don't have the time. Life just gets in the way. And I think everyone, whenever they reach the ages of 45, they start questioning, and kind of wondering what life is all about. And I think that yeah, people forget the people who can't read and who can't write, because once you can't read, then you can't write. And I think I see that a lot, that people forget these people. And my thing is always, and I always think that if people have education, um, I think there would be less complication in this world. I think when people are educated and intellectual, um, but some people forget the ones that can't read and write. And if you're a person that can't read and write, it has nothing to do with you, as a characteristic of you. It is that some planets are telepathic. Some species, some beings are telepathic. Writing is not one of the most important thing, and neither is reading. Okay, once you can hear and communicate, you pick up and you go along. But a majority of the world forget these people who basically, um, you know, s- it depends on your species. Yeah, and we're not talking about your family background or your bloodline background. We're talking about your soul family. And this is the reason why some people are, yeah, they can remember things and some people can't. Like Pisces people, they have short memories. Some, not all. And it depends on who you are and your background, the species, that sort of a thing. So I want to use this 10 year to, speak about things that people think about but never talks about. Okay, so like there's a lot of people that basically talk about things, or think about things, but think that they're so crazy of the idea, and don't want other people to know what their thoughts are all about and that they thinks about things, and needs to change the whole dynamic of who you are as a person, because um, you know there's so much things that goes through people's mind, but you need to choose positive things, okay? Because a lot of people are getting crazy, and the reason is that the planetary system, because I don't know if a lot of people are aware, there is a palladium of energy, and we're actually going backwards. All right, so whatever we're doing now, it's going backwards. And that's a whole other thing that a lot of people do not understand, the magnetic pull on this planet, that sort of a thing. Um, it's not really scientific, because it affects each and every one of us, okay? Because we're all frequency of energies, so it affects us. So there are multiple things that I want to speak about, because I think that a lot of people, um, they have clash of thoughts, and what is the norm and what is not the norm, okay? And a lot of people, um, when we, because there's so many subjects I'm going to touch on, but let's choose the first most important thing is who you are as a person. When you go to find out why am I born under a zodiac sign, okay? Because if you watch my channel for all the 10 years, all these 10 years I've been teaching people zodiac sign. What zodiac sign are you? Cardinal? Are you fixed? Are you? And then I will change it up, and I put um a earth signs together, water signs together, air signs together, and fire signs together. And it's, if you notice, I'm teaching people how to understand certain things, okay? So let's look at you as a person. So you were born, okay, you're a fire sign. Okay, who are fire signs? They're the Aries, they're the Leos, Sagittarian, and the Ophiuchus. Now, they gave us 12 signs, but it's actually 13. They didn't want it to give us 13, like there's no 13 building and that sort of a thing, but they are 13 signs, okay? And fire signs people, let's look at the last one that came out, the Ophiuchus. The Ophiuchus are the healers of the planets, okay? And if you look at the stars, if you know what it is, where's the big bear, where's the this and that, and the Orion, then you can understand, okay? Each and every person was born on this planet, on this earth, at a certain time, a certain place, okay? Not all twin flames and soulmates can, but not all twin flames, and twin flames is different. Twin flames is that there is the opposite polarity of who you are as a person. And when we said opposite polarity, if you are the masculine, then there is the feminine, who is the opposite person of you. But you mirror each other, okay? Because twin flames is like a heart, and each pieces of the heart another person has. And to put them together, then you're the one and a whole person. So the horrible thing with twin flame relationships, okay, and there is just so much consequential things about twin flames relationship. Twin flames relationships is different than soulmate relationship. Soulmates are people who you have known for a soul life connection, and these are people who familiar come back into lifetime to help you to work on your karma, and you help them to work on their karma. But the twin flame is the most heavy. It's a very, very heavy relationship. The twin flame relationship, it's your opposite polarial. Okay, so if you're masculine and the other one is feminine, then you're facing and mirroring each other. So you tend to trickle each other. You tend to awaken each other because you're the polarial to each other. Um, that's one of the most heaviest relationships, okay? But the thing with the twin flame relationship is that whenever you meet at the same time in the same dimension, it's about something is about to happen, okay? And normally at this time, there are twin flames that is positive is coming back for their negative counterpart. Okay, so sometimes the men are positive, sometimes the women are negative, and vice versa. And whenever that is happening, is that they have come to a moment in time where a decision needs to be made. So I can give you an example. You are the collective. You are um, the ninth dimension, the fourth dimension. And you are positive. You are awakened. You are aware of what is going on. But your counterpart is stuck. Your counterpart is a Hulk wall. It's a jug bruiser. It's a this person is on drugs. It's about drugs, sex, and that sort of a thing. So here you are as a positive person, and learning to balance both of those, all those situations, have learned it, have worked it, and let it go. But here you are meeting your twin flame. And ladies and gentlemen, whenever, because narcissistic people use the flame, twin flame, or soulmate, okay? It is not, no. Your heart, your soul, know when you meet your twin flame and soulmate. It is just something that your heart, your soul connects and know that that is your soulmate, okay? So a lot of questions I get is that, do we have to live together? Was it meant that we live together, be together, or whatever? And the answer to that is basically you have choices. That is the thing with this planetary aspect. You have choices. What was the meaning of it is that each one would teach each other in order to come back in balance. Okay, so it's like two people, one is negative, one is positive, but they need to balance. Okay, just like a scale balance out its weight. Okay, you can't have a scale with one down and one up. And a lot of people who have lost their twin flames, especially old souls, high dimensional frequency, what happened is that a twin flame or a soulmate, this twin flame person or the soulmate person, sometimes what happened is that one has fallen and the other one that is of light and peace and the normal things have to help the one that has fallen. Okay, so you as a person, with the connection of your twin flame soulmate, can choose whether or not you want to be in a relationship with that person or not. And sometimes twin flames and soulmates meet their counterparts but choose not to, especially when they know that they have come and done the same thing in lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. They decided, I know what you have done in the past lifetime, and they will actually warn them and tell them one thing you do and you are out. Okay, so what the other counterpart will basically do is basically stay from a distance and help them from afar. Okay, and because you cannot intervene, what the other like the positive will do is back away. They will back away. They will let you free. They will let you do whatever you need to do. But uh, they don't have to. They will know that that's their twin flame and soulmate, but they are not. And this is it again, ladies and gentlemen. You should not push your soulmate or twin flame in making a decision. That's not what you're here to do in a twin flame soulmate relationship. You are here to heal and work on your issues, your trauma, but by that person being in your connection, they will understand you more than anyone else, even more than your parents, your birth parents. Because your birth parents are not your twin flame or soulmate. They're not your soul family. Most people are born in a family that has nothing to do with them. And then sometimes you meet strangers and you think that this is more a family to me than my own family. Yes, because those are your soul family. Okay. So it is and yeah, for earthlings or for people down here, they say that it is complicated. Yes, it is complicated. It is very complicated. But what a lot of you needs to know, because it is so complicated, you need to understand you don't have to save that person. You know, it's not that it's a must. It's not that you need to save a person. Okay, you can't save people. People need to save themselves. Okay, it's basically a relationship for the other person to recognize and see what um see what they're doing wrong in the site. Okay, so if you consider like a earthly form, you have two narcissistic together. Okay, and why I use narcissistic is because it's the most frequency. There are people with disorders. Okay, and there's a lot of people with disorders, and some people do not want to recognize, um, because a lot of people think they're normally, but then when you look at people and then you start to see, because like I'm a coach, so I can see a disorder in a person as I see a person. Okay, and as I said to you, people look at the way people walk. Okay, how people walk, you can know when someone is not totally 100% of hair. Look at the way people walk. Okay, people who walk on their toes. Okay, they have some sort of an artistic disability. It's not really a disability. It is basically, that's how you can separate different species. Okay, but you can look at someone and know when they're mentally off. Okay, is by looking at the way they walk, the way they step, how they walk. Okay, it is so visible. um Another thing that yeah, personal looking at people is like they always said, yeah, people, the amount of time they're quaint and they can tell about lies. No, because I have recognized I have dry eyes now. Ever since my operation, I have to like drip my eyes 2-3 times per day. So I have to keep on quenting, especially when I'm on the camera, and I'm basically always doing my videos in the night so the windows can't be open. I basically recognize that I have to quint a lot to keep my eyes dry. Okay, or you always see me drinking tea because the warmth from the tea kind of tinker my eyes. So no, I would not say the Quentin thing. There are different ways to recognize when a person is lying. Okay, their body, the body posture. Okay, when a person is lying, they can't look, they can't face you, and they can't look in straight in front of you or straight in your eyes. Okay, when a person is lying, their body, you can know. You can know from the way a person is speaking to you, especially when they're lying. Okay. So I always say to people, start with yourself. Okay. I'm one of those people who's going to look at the fault at myself before I'm going to look at the fault at another person. And um, what is happening now is that the divine masculine and feminine, sorry, are needed on this planet to ascend the planet. Okay. People take sex for a actual commodity, or as something that is, you know, but sex is sacred, okay? And a lot of people abuse sex, okay? Abuse come in different forms. People abuse food, people abuse sex, people abuse other people manipulates, okay? Abuse come in different forms. And in the sense of you recognizing who you are as a person, you got to look at all of these basis points in order um, to recognize who you are. And the reason, because like Norks, we call them Norks, but they're a narcissistic people. Narcissistic people are people who tends to have these qualities that you have to look for. Narcissistic people are promiscuous, okay? They like to sleep around. They have multiple partners. And the thing why they do it is that they don't know to emotionally bond with another person. The reason why is because when they were a child, they were not emotionally bonded with their parents. Okay, so again, narcissistic become narcissistic. It's not a disease that you were born with. Okay, narcissistic is because basically a parent's fucked a child up. That's it. Okay, where the child did not get the proper um, emotional connection in their lives, and this is the reason why. So I always said to a lot of people, and I always tell people, your own parents mess you up, okay? Because you did not have that love and affection and emotional connection with your parents in order to have an emotional bond with another person. So if you recognize all narcissistic people, they have kids because they always want to show off. They always want to, oh, look at my child, blah, blah, blah. But what you need to understand is that narcissists are, they're empty vessels, okay? And what we call empty vessels is that once you have no emotion, okay, once you're going to be hurting another person and you don't recognize what you have done and you feel nothing, you have emptiness, a loss, an emptiness, and you just think that it is okay for what you have done, then you will recognize that this person is narcissistic, okay? Narcissistic people can also be um, they're pathological liars, okay? Yeah, they can lie, and they really lie, okay? And they are psychopaths, okay? They have a certain smell to them, okay? They always have some sort of a health issue because they sleep around with so many people, they drug with so many people, they have sneaky links here and there, okay? Because they can't really emotionally bond. And when they recognize that they decide they're having feelings for someone, then they run. They're always the runner, okay? And that's just one form. Another question that I have: do they have twin flame and soulmate? Yes, they do. Everyone has twin flames and soulmate, but they're lost souls, okay? And most of the time, their counterpart have to come down in order to help them to find their way back home, okay? And when we said our way back home, is our way back to our soul family and that sort of a thing. So if you're a Palladian, you're name it, starseed, name it, indigo, name it. sometimes they're lost. Um, what was it? Yeah, I'm completely think their question that there was, it was that was the question of you know, do they get married? Yes, they do get married, but narcissistic people get married, but they're still looking. You know, narcissistic people is always looking for the best and the best and the best. Okay, narcissistic people, you know, think of, you put a man or a little boy in a candy shop, they're going to be eating all of the candy until they're sick. Okay, and they transmit um, uh, negative energies to other people because they sleep around so much. Okay, so that's kind of, yeah, yeah. There is nothing so cool about being a narcissistic. It's really a mental health issue. A narcissistic person, okay, because it's someone who has this glorious, you know, big, you know, someone who shows up as being as someone who they're not. Okay, narcissistic people, they wear a mask because they do not have any any emotional connection, and that's the reason why. So, um, what we need to understand is that it's really um, understanding who you are as a person, finding out what's affecting you and what's not affecting you. Um, yeah, like taking a good understanding and recognizing who you are as a person is very important. Because we always start looking at other people, and we always are starting to have an opinion about another person, but not really um, understanding yourself as a person. Okay, so if you are just coming into the chat, we are looking at difference. It's going to be a question and answer. I got some questions that I needed to give people answers. So if you're just coming in, thank you for being here. This is the 10-year anniversary, and we're going to be doing a Q&A, okay, question and answers, where you put a question, type question in the box, and I will basically answer the questions. Okay. So we were looking at the point at, you know, first of all, what should we look at? We need to look at ourselves first. Okay, we can't help another person if we do not understand ourselves. Okay, and I do agree with people who, there's just some people that just don't want to have kids. I couldn't understand that, but now I'm really understanding that, because basically um there are just so many reasons why, you know, you shouldn't have a kid. Okay, and there's a lot of people who gets into relationship and one partner is not open to have kids, and the other partner think, yeah, I change your mind, yeah, when you get to this age, yeah. It never works, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, don't go in a relationship in order to change another person, because it's not going to work, and the other person is just going to be getting up and resenting you for it. Okay, you can't fix people, you can't change people. If someone don't want to see their mistake, their faults, whatever they're doing, and get to understand that, hey, I have been really going down this road and it's always coming out to the same thing, maybe I need to change, maybe I need to do things differently. It depends on who you are as a person. Um, and not many people like criticism. Not many people wants to know the kind hard, you know, truth that, hey, you have been doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. So this is why we look at difference, because there are so much, there are multiple different faculties of people, who people are, characteristic wise, and all of these things. Some narcissistic is just that a parents didn't give a child the right nurturing and emotional bond that they should have gotten in the beginning, the first 5 years of their life. And then something happens between 14, 15, 16, that person gets traumatic from it. So that person, most of the time, a narcissistic is having still a tantrum. And the tantrum is that this narcissistic person, they can't take no, because they made this grandiosity personality of themselves, which is actually not that person. So they're faking to make it, pretending to be this, really great person. And, you know, coaches like me, we look through it and we recognize, no, you're trying to hide the shame of something. You're trying to hide the shame within you, of, your parents really fail you. Okay, narcissistic children, parents fail them. Okay, so there is just so many different scenarios and that sort of a thing, but it is a trauma. A parents who have caused a child a trauma. Okay, and that's where we get in that whole situation of traumas, because most people who are having issues as an adult, that mean over the age of 21, because if you think a 16-year-old is an adult, a 16-year-old is not an adult. Okay, I really just think that we all become adults when we're like 45, because trust me, between 20 and 40, everyone is a bloody idiot. And we all have to face, especially the ones that focus and know, I have a goal, I'm going for my goal. But if you have no goal, no focus, you live life as today is tomorrow, and you have no sense of seeing the future, or doing something for yourself, trying to create something for you and your family. That's kind of sad. And there's a lot of people that didn't get the proper um, you know loving, and didn't come from a proper loving home. um, and a lot of people do not know this, but if you grow up not hugging a child, you actually have no connection to that child. Okay, because you are emotionally, you have no emotional bond with that child. So then you see societies, um and you can see that in society now. In the olden days, it was not that bad, but now you're really seeing that a lot of, because some people were born in the baby boom time when you know my parents dropped me off, or the school bus dropped me off, or and I'm just at home. So you sit behind the television, your parents come home, they eat, they're tired, they go to bed. There is no emotional connection and no emotional bond. Um, so what a lot of people do not understand, and I look at people like, when someone is trying to, shouldn't you talk to someone? I said, I can't talk to someone if my child is missing and that person doesn't know what it is to, number one, have a child, number two, that a child just get up and poof at 36 years old and missing. Then how can I have a discussion with that person? Because all they'll be doing is sitting down writing, but can't connect with me as a person because they are not aware of my pain, what I am going through. Okay, it's like helping someone who got raped. You can't help a person who got raped because you don't know all the things that it does for that person, the anger. Because a lot of people who get raped and abused, they're very angry people. You know, look at society. And if you go back to their backgrounds and their childhood, you will see that there was some form of abuse, because sometimes they will not say it because of the shame, but they were being abused, okay? And a lot of people don't recognize how there is a lot of abuse within a family unit, you know? Um, so yeah, question yourself, you know, what's the reason I was born in a family? Really think about it. Look at your parents. Think about the connection with your parents. Was it a happy home? Were your parents happy? You know, were they laughing? Were they whispering to each other? You know, that's sort of an emotional bond that two people bond with. But most people do not have that. So, you know, a lot of people like things, you know, why you don't have to, I don't want to have to teach someone to emotionally bond with me to be in a relationship, because if you don't know anything about emotional bonding and you don't know, no, I would prefer not to have a relationship. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, it's just so crazy because, you know, humanity was, I've been living, not knowing anything, not, it's sad. It's like everyone walks around with, and a lot of people have pain and don't want to deal with their pains. You know, a lot of people have trauma and, think it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I drink this bottle of wine. Tomorrow morning, I get up and I go to my bed and it's okay. No, it's not okay. It is not okay, ladies and gentlemen. Um, and, you know, when we look at society now, society is broken. And it is broken because a certain group of people, because I'm Generation X. I was born in the time of Generation X. And we were like the second wave of light showers that came to this planet. So, yeah, um, life is it's not a bed of roses. There is a lot, but most issues come from past life and trauma and childhood trauma. Okay, most issues. And if you are someone who is broken, but feel as if you are, okay, and the things that you do is okay, and not seeing how broken you are as a person. Whew, yeah, it's heavy. It's confronting yourself is, I think that is like the worst thing. I see more and more by coaching people, for them to, you say, okay, so let's go back. So what happened the year? What happened then? What happened then? You recognize that people have a selective memory. They select to remember, something good over whatever has transpired, okay? And this is why I say to a lot of people, you cannot help a rape victim. You cannot help someone who has have a miscramp and you don't know what it is. There is a lot that people think asking a couple of questions on a paper, I can help this person to heal, but no, that's really not how it goes. So a lot of you at this time is going to be really, really finding out, um, you know, that you being who you are, um, and finding out who you are, you need to make some sort of a changes. Okay, there need to be changes that you yourself as a person needs to find out and make the changes. So um, if you have any questions, but these questions is about, yeah, I don't know. I think spirituality is a really strong um, word. But if you have questions surrounding um, things, issues that you yourselves are going through, now is the time to throw it out there. And normally, we always pick up the moderations, always pick up the question and send it to me. Remember, for all the people who are coming on, remember to go and place where you're coming from. Okay. And as you do that, we will basically connect. I wanted to give out the energies of the 5 winners. Um, that was very nice of you to do all with it. I'm going to be putting all the gifts together and then send them off for all of the winners. Um, yeah, this is Thanksgiving weekend, and yeah, I don't know if you guys get the news, but I think they're in Iraq. So ladies and gentlemen, life is about learning lessons. Okay, you connect with people at the workplace because you had karma with them in past life. You connect with someone through a yeah, friendship. Um, it's because you have a past life with them. But to come back to the question about the twin flame soulmate, because this planet is a planet of free will, you really don't have to help your twin flame soulmate. Okay, they need to recognize that if they know that you are their twin flame soulmate, they need to be awakened for themselves to recognize it's time I start clearing up myself, clearing up who I am as a person. Some people will basically um, go through life not facing up to the facts that they have trauma, they have inner trauma, they're broken. But if you have not the correct um, person to help you understand that the cycles that you're going through, it's because of a childhood wound, then yeah, a lot of people will bury whatever they have gone through at childhood, as a child, and not recognizing that whatever you went through as a child is the one that is affecting you in this lifetime at this moment. All right, so a lot of people are not aware of that. So it is good to have some sort of an understanding. And when we have that form of understanding, we can acknowledge that we could have, doing things that was basically making decision that was basically not the right decision. Okay, so finding out that there is something wrong with you as a person. There is nothing wrong with that. But try and find help. Try and find out what it is. Why is this affecting me? Which lifetime it came from. There's a lot of hypnosis people. Okay? A lot of what you see is going back. People who go back to their exes because you can't move on, because you're a toxic person. Um, and face it, only toxic people go back to their partners because they never close the door in a relationship or in a connection. And a lot of people always said, yeah, but I need to find out why. I need closure. You don't need any closure. As if someone choose another person over you, you do not need any closure. That person basically say they went someplace else that they thought that was better. Okay, so a lot of people call it the grass is green. You don't need any closure. It is as plain as day. They decided to get up and move in another direction. You don't need to make any closure with anyone. All you just need is to cut the connection. And a lot of people say, yeah, but you don't need to know anything. If someone gets up and walk away, they think that something else is better. Let it go. Their loss, your gain. It's your gain of inner peace, and you recognize that that was just something that should not have been there. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand, um, only toxic people keep toxic people in a relationship. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everyone. Only toxic people keep toxic people in relationship. Okay, if you constantly going back to exes and going back to people that you sleep with, that means you're not capable enough of moving on. Okay, and a lot of people are saying, well, I need to find out. Yeah, the person, make it clearly. They move on because they thought that something was better out there, and then they're recognizing that it's not better, and then they want to come back. Um, yeah, people who go back to their exes or go back to people that they have been having sneaky links and whatever with, and then they go back, that means they're toxic. They can't move on. They have no sense of emotional bonding. They can't bond with another person because their parents never taught them. And this is it. A lot of people do not understand. If you are not taught what is love in your home as a child growing up, you don't know how to love yourself, and you will never know how to love another person. And a lot of people just think that, they, they say, oh, but, you think you're better. No, because from out the house, you were treated and you were thought differently. Okay. So if you notice, it is something that from out the home, a lot of people are screwed up. And let's face it, and a lot of you always say it also. I was born in a fucked up family. Sometimes I can't even believe that my family members are my family members. I think everyone on this planet have also thought about this. And I think what people needs to understand is that if you are not aware and you were not taught what is true love, you can never feel love. Because a lot of people think that sex, a good feeling is sex, is love. And a person think that when they're on drugs and alcohol, the only thing that is good with drugs and alcohol is that that's the only time people speak the truth. That's the only time you know what people are all about. That's the only time people tell you the truth of what they feel about you. Okay? So when people say, oh no, I was drunk. Yes, you were drunk, but you spoke the truth. That's the only time, ladies and gentlemen. Drugs, alcohol, the only time and the only thing it does is when people are on those things, they will tell you the truth. And basically, because I've always recognized that, and I think that because I've read so much things, and it's true. I've tested it at thousands of times. Never have a conversation when I'm drunk. I'm always getting home, showering, and going straight to bed and sleep. Because basically, I can't take alcohol. I'm always throwing up. I think that the only thing I drink and I don't really throw up is uh, white rum and red wine. But if it's anything too sweet or um, and whiskey, I can take whiskey. Whiskey is good. I love Johnny Walker Black. But for the rest, no, I'm gonna throw that shit up. Like a lot of people drink Smirnoff. Who the hell drinks Smirnoff? Tequila. you know, but a lot of people try to, people wear masks. Okay, people put on a mask to be someone who they're not, and people don't, they recognize it, but they've done it their own entire life, pretending and having this mask on. So this mask stays on, and people don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't have an opinion. And this is why we call the people who connects with narcissistic people, that's why we call them flying monkeys. Because those people are people who are followers. They follow this person, they ha 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 with this person, and they never confront narcissistic to say, hey, you need to go find help. Okay? Because narcissistic are always people who are always playing the um the victim. They're not the victim, they're the abusers. Okay? Narcissistic people always play the victim. They are no victim, they're abusers. Okay? And whenever there is someone that is going to show them up, they will gaslight this person, they will lie on this person. But after a time, people start seeing through the BS. Okay? And a lot of narcissistic people will say, yeah, but this person was so, they were, you know, they were always there. They were always no, no, no. They are the one, and then they will flip the switch when they find a new supplier, because a narcissistic person is an energy drainer person. They drain your energy. They drain the friggin' life out of you. Okay? Because they always want and evaluate that attention. Who does that? Kids. Kids are always the one that wants that, basically. So sometimes they're going to say, boys will always be boys. Yes, boys will always be boys, especially the ones that did not come from um a healthy family. Of course. And it's a sad situation. But majority of people on this planet are unhealthy. Welcome, everyone. So, life is weird. Um, Whenever we start to understand that we are only here to understand ourselves, to learn the lesson, to pay back our karma, then we can understand. But a lot of people tends to be, pointing the finger at other people. But the first thing to do is to look at yourself. A lot of people I will sit down and listen to people, and they have all of these comments and everything, and I'm thinking, and I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, you know, have you seen what is wrong with you? You know, a lot of people likes to point out other people faults, but not looking and seeing their own faults. And I'm someone like this. If you're always going to be, oh, finding fault with this, finding fault with that, I just think you're very annoying. Once you're just gonna find the fault, and then they always do, yeah, but I see everything. Yeah, you see everything, but you're not seeing what you need to see. You need help. You're pointing at everybody else and looking and finding other faults with people, but you're not seeing what is happening to yourself. You need to look at yourself, because you're having an issue where you're protruding on other people because other people are not perfect, but nobody is perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not perfect. I'm one of the nicest, kind-hearted person, but you try to manipulate me, lie to me, and try to abuse me. No, no. I will cut you off as if I never know you. And that's a Capricorn. That is such a strong characteristic of Capricorns. Capricorns, they can cut you off and you think, what happened? I thought this person was into me. There is just one sign, and I've been looking at all the zodiac. When the Pisces will kind of take it and keep it inside, because Pisces always just think that with all the love and no, Capricorns are not that way, you know, and Cancer is the same way. They will take it in and blame themselves. No, Capricorn is like, no, you're not getting another strike by me. Pisces people will tends to suck up and accept other people bullshit, but Capricorn people are not like that. And I think it's a good characteristic, because people think Capricorn people are cold. Capricorn people are not cold. Capricorn people is just really, they analyze, and they analyze the situation. Why would you give another person a chance? And really ask you a question, because a lot of people say, but I need to have closure. What you need to have closure about? Someone decide to move on to another person. You have no more, you don't need to have closure. The reason is that that person think that it was better over there by another person. And then they're over there and they're recognizing, what the hell? Yeah, you choose your bed, lay down in it. That's why people say that is a phrase. So why would you sit there wanting closure to move on? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to just, really face up, because a lot of people like to, yeah, but I need closure. No, there's no closure. The person make an action. Whatever action brings a reaction, okay? And for someone, make an action, two people decided and they make action. You don't need no closure, and this is why I'm so happy I'm a Capricorn person. I study all of the zodiac signs. And when I look at all the characteristic and I check them with my characteristic, I'm like, thank God I'm a Capricorn. Because Capricorn people, they don't have the time for the BS. Capricorn people is one of these people, especially in relationship. No, they're not giving you a second chance and a third chance. They don't go back to exes. If a Capricorn person go back to an exes, is because they need their help. Okay? But Capricorn people, when they cut you, they cut you. And most of the time, like 100%, like real Capricorns, nope, they're not going back to an ex. Okay? And that's just one characteristic about Capricorns. The other characteristic that I like is about Sagittarian. They just straight, there are two signs. If you don't want to know the truth and access the truth of, you're messing up, don't ask a Capricorn and don't ask a Sagittarian, because they're straight. They're going to be telling you, hey, look, they're direct. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, life is, um, you know, yeah, people say it's miracle and it's this and it's that. No, it's just about you understanding who you are. Once you have an idea of who you are, why you do the things you do, then, you know, you see right away who a person is and what is a person characteristic. And a lot of people just don't know. By seeing a person walk, you can, read a person up. Their, actions speak louder than words. There's just so much things. The way how a person, a clothes doesn't make you who you are. Okay, your posture, the way you walk on the street, it tells you who you are as a person. If you are aware enough to understand that. And a lot of people are not. Okay, so, um, yeah, families, you can't choose your family. You're basically born in a family because you need to heal something in that family. And everyone is kind of looking at, yeah, what do I need to heal? You need to heal yourself as a person. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna call out the winners. Okay. All right. Just remember to say where you're coming in from, which country, which continent. We always do that. So I'm gonna answer your questions, but we're looking at certain things that is affecting society at this time, and a lot of people are going cuckoo. The last time, a lot of people are kind of losing it, and the reason why is that if you wear a mask and you have done things in the dark against other people, it's going to come to the light. All right, there's no question about it. So there are people who basically um, abuse people, do horrible things to people. There are people who do voodoo, witchcraft. There's people who grew up on that because their family think that that's a part that is normal. No, it's not normal. It is bloody not normal, people. That's just friggin' evil. Okay? It's not normal. It's not, it's evil. Okay? And if you recognize that you're someone that is always not happy for another person, you need to take a good look at yourself, because you're missing an emotional state of mind where you think that you need to have something what another person have worked hard for, when you and that other person have the same chances to make it, but you choose the other direction. So it's about basic um laws of the universe. If you give out good, you get good back. If you give out bad, you get bad back. Okay. And pretending to be someone who you are, it's destructive. Okay. It makes you burn so much energy. Okay. If you have to be constantly needing attention from another person, you're basically draining that person of their energy. Okay. Or that person is vice versa, that person is draining your energy. So ladies and gentlemen, it is a time when, you have to learn. You're actually learning. And a lot of people wants to have a lot of kids. For what reason? You know, why? You know, was it a happy family, a happy home? I just think that people who were abused by their parents should never have kids. And the reason why is that you would not know how to give that love to your kids. But sometimes, at some stage of the game, like a lot of people kind of work over that for themselves, and they become adult because the choices they made between the ages of 0 and 10, and kind of figure out and get to understand, sorry, get to understand it's not my fault. If even my mother, and I think one of the races that got the most for children that was born, and they think that they were abused, they were beaten as a child and that sort of a thing. It's because their parents was not aware of who and what is the responsibility when a new soul come to this planet. How? Because children, you don't get a book to say, a manual to say this is how. But a lot of people, they fuck their kids up. A lot of people, honestly. And you can say that I was doing my best, but treat another person the way you would like to be treated. Okay? And a lot of people, like, they have a kid that is their favorite. No, you can't favoritism with your kids. That can't be. Whether or not that daddy, papi gave more money for this one or that one. No, no, ladies and gentlemen, that's there's just so much things that the planet and humanity on a whole needs to look at. There's another subject. I start to breathe. Sorry, I should have slept. But I did a video. I should have slept because normally I sleep and wake up at 1 o'clock and drink coffee, and I didn't because it's Thanksgiving. I need to call my family also. So there's another thing that I think is just insipid. As a person, there are a group of people on this planet that I I've often, and I remember I was talking to someone that was abused, and um, abused another person, and I said, you had felt what it was as a child to be abused. So why would you become an adult and abuse another innocent child? And the abuser said, well, I was abused, so that's why. No, you're just fucking sick. Okay? Because if you are abused as a person, okay, you are going to be making sure whenever you get out that abuse that you're going to be recognizing, how did I feel? I felt endless. Like parents that have sex with your own offspring. Who does that? No animals does that. Not even the lion. The lion is like the most powerful animal. A lion's mate with one lion. When that lion pass, then he chooses another one. So, yeah, these are things that a lot of people need to confront themselves with. You can't blame, um, yeah, some people like blame other people for whatever they're going through. No, it's not others people's fault. It has to do with the home. It has to do with your home parents. A lot of people wants to look at other people, blame other people, but it has nothing to do with other people. It's you, it's the family that you choose to enter this world in. And basically, we all always looking outside to blame another person, always. But you need to start to look at yourself, okay? Because I cannot, you know, it makes my stomach turtle to know that an adult that is 20 years older than a child is basically having sex with someone 20 years old. Don't you ever think that that could have been my child? What happened? What went wrong here that you don't recognize that is not part of the universal law? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are things that affect a whole lot of people, and there are just so much innocent children that was born. And there's another thing. Okay, listen, women, if you can't have a child, let it go. Let it go. There are people who have gone to infertile to the sperm bank and get pregnant or ask someone to give them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not everyone that is supposed to become a mother. It's not every mother that is um healthy or is good. Okay. And until we recognize that some people cannot heal themselves is because they're so messed up from a child. Okay, they're so messed up that it creates them, it makes them look and have so felt chaos. And until you recognize all of these faults, all of these things that is affecting you as a person, until you recognize where it is and what is happening to you, you will never learn to heal yourselves. Okay, and I think healing yourself is much important before you're going to be taking on healing another person, when that's a situation that you want to change another person, you want to tell another person you're going to use black magic and witchcraft to hold another person. This is a lot. Okay, so I will advise a lot of you, um start with yourself. Okay, just start being with yourself, start understanding who you are, and then with that you can conquer the world. But if you have no understanding of what it is that I'm missing, because a man that sleep runs with a lot of women, there is something definitely wrong with you. Okay, you're always looking for the next good fit. Okay, and that's the reason why you basically um you miss that emotional connection. Okay, and a lot of people do not understand why men goes to men, why men, most men sneaky links or other men. Okay, 10% statistic of men sneaky link is always another man. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. And these people are people that they find in the workplace. Oh, yeah. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this 10-year anniversary, it's about finding yourself is about acknowledging who you were. It's about being smart enough to understand that, hey, I was taught this, but I am going to do this. And the reason why is because I, I can't see the opportunity. I can't see uh, the sense of why. And it is always left behind. Why? And this is the time that humanities are awakened, recognizing that the old pyramid is breaking down. And whenever we understand that, then we have to make different choices. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of men out there that that have another male as their sneaky links, okay? And this is very prominent and in many societies, all right? But my question is that because you're not honest to yourself as a person, what it is that you get off on as a person, what is my pleasure moment? Go there, stay there, do all you want. But don't, enter other people's lives to create chaos for them when these people are not open to a sort of a life where whatever is there is actually not life itself. It's just a scenario that you play in your head. So there a lot of karma is going to be eating people, and we're talking about you know whether parents who sleep with their kids, literally sleep intimacy. We're talking about want to have closure. You don't need any move on. It's just that, yeah, you see the truth about the person and let it go. And yeah, it's about being honest with yourself. If you're not honest with who you are as a person, things won't work. Things will always be stuck and stagnant if you have to be paying for witchcraft and voodoo and this and that and voodoo and that. And why what is it that I'm missing? Okay. And if you guys go back and look, all kids that um molested, they are always alcoholic, or their drugs for slap. Okay. And for a lot of people who don't know this, there is the white sugar, if you know what I mean. You cannot get off of that. No, you never get off of the white sugar. So a lot of people, and when people lie, how they know. Ladies and gentlemen, if someone went for, help to get off of the white sugar and they said, well, it helped, no. No. And that is one drugs that you can't get off. So it's going to be heavy, ladies and gentlemen. But you will basically starting to look back, because it's about time is going backwards. So a lot of people are going to be looking backwards. And I know, especially for a rape victim, it is this is not a question to ask, but for rape victim, a lot of people do not understand what rape victims go through. Okay, because if you're not being raped and you are not a victim of a rape case, how is there a woman that is sitting across me and is going to start right, yeah, but why can't you diagnose me with? Because you're there writing, you're asking me question, but still you're there, pulling it in and that sort of a thing. But what can you say to your patient? Nothing, because you have not been to that emotional spot of a person, you know, losing a child, losing a sister, losing a brother, that emerge, yeah, that is not connected. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is life is really full of surprises. There is no question about it. It is better that you have some sort of understanding of what is going on for yourself as a person. And then you can manage the rest of the world, basically. So I hope that this could, like a lot of you, I really hope that, people understand certain things. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, whatever is happening and transpiring, you gotta have some sort of understanding that um, people all over the world seems to be missing an essential role, and that essential role was to create heaven on earth for a baby that was born, and it is not used, you know, regularly. And I think that that's things that we needs to really stop. Smell the coffee. Is this what I wanted? But you're going to be just like stopping, smell the coffee, understanding where you are within the scope of life at this moment. So the winners, I will email the winners. I will let the winners know. I have their addresses, so it's going to take a little bit while, but you need to focus. Okay, you need to focus. A lot of people need to step back, take time off to think about what is it I've achieved in this lifetime. Okay, what is it you have achieved in this lifetime? And then that, I think, will help you. All right, I'm gonna see if I can see the messages that came up, because obviously the light is so bad in here, so very bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, this life that it's always full of surprises, and whether or not we're ready to accept these things, we need to start checking. We need to start accepting, because it's only getting dragged out more and more and more. Okay, so try to figure out what's going on with you, because begin with the ick. Okay, then you can look to another person, but before you start with the ick, it doesn't really make any sense, because whoever that other person is, they were aware You were aware. They were aware. And um, welcome everyone. And you can't go with a person because you're going to be looking for something out of that person. Or you can't take on a person because you know that person isn't going to be needing something from you. It is for you to make the decision how far that this goes. Okay? So a lot of people go into um, marriage and relationship, and then they have problems, and they have problems because two people are going in a relationship, and one have their mind set on changing the other one, and the other one is stuck in their ways and don't feel like to change. So we need to understand what is going on with ourselves and gain an understanding of it. Okay, so I hope I'm answering all the questions. So I hope at some stage of the game, a lot of people will have some sort of understanding of themselves. Okay, so life is full of surprises, but there's going to be a lot of changes coming up, and this is the reason why you need to face and focus on who you are as a person. Okay, there is a whole lot of changes that is going to be coming up. Right,